Anybody else want to come over here? Guess not.
Dave. They'll come over.
Okay, we'll talk about the miniature decoys first. And just pass these around. There's all the construction. This is a tray of raw materials. I've been carving miniatures for a long time, and I've tried all different kinds of techniques, and there's a couple things that I learned pretty fast, and that's to have some handles on things. Working with a Dremel or a ram, I was taking my fingernails off pretty regularly. So I try to have a handle on things. There's some that I cut out, and just they're roughly shaped, and all I have to do then is hold on to one and carve the other, and then I did the same kind of thing with heads. I cut them out. This one I didn't leave. This is a fingernail snapper, and I did a lot of those, and then I learned to leave a little tab. And here are some finished heads, or unfinished head, unpainted. And finally, this one I made this little guy. I think this might be one piece. This is a twig, and I found that the twig gives it a lot of strength, and so here are some that I carved out of twigs.
It's like those old root head they had on the old decoys.
Yeah, I was trying for root head.
Yeah.
And I might as well pass that around.
Then the grain is always in the right direction.
Is the bill part of the wood too, or do you insert something there?
That's part of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And here's another one to pass around. And
How small can you go?
Yeah.
then I tried just making a body out of a stick, and that seems to work too. You always got sticks around, and so here's some of my attempts at bodies. That's before my Fordham crashed, or there'd be a few more there. I also made some decoys out of wine corks. I don't know if you ever stopped there, but there was a guy who sold a little bit of everything at a white building between Duluth and Two Harbors along the lake road, or what is that?
61.
61, not the freeway, but the scenic highway. Anyway, he had all sorts of wine corks and packaged up nice, and I bought those and made decoys out of them.
I've got a whole garbage can full of corks if you need some extra ones.
There you go.
I'll bring them in. I'll bring you a bag. This Vogel, I like this wine too.
When I first started out, I was attempting to carve historic decoys, and so I made a few patterns. Do you have any questions? If you've carved a decoy, you know what to cut off and what not to cut off. The things that I learned was to make sure you had a handle on it and try anything.
So the pattern, you're just cutting out the top profile. You're not doing anything at the
Yeah.
side.
And the heads are separate, Denny?
By and large, yeah.
Okay.
How are you connecting it? Just with glue?
Just glue,
And then like a toothpick or a dollar or anything?
well, that was an evolving thing too. And like with the little twigs, if you leave you can cut a tenon on the bottom and make a little hole in the body and glue it up, but just glue seems to work fine.
Those are really cool.
Other questions?
Sort of paint.
Pardon?
Are you an acrylics painter?
Acrylic paint, yeah. And small brush and prepared to be frustrated.
Draft plastics.
It's hard to get a real fine line with any kind of definition.
Right.
How are you hanging on to the heads?
Pardon me?
How are you hanging on to the heads? Are you attaching them and then carving them?
Got a good copy machine.
Well,
Yeah.
when I first started, I cut the head out like you would normally.
Yeah.
Then I learned to leave something extra.
Okay.
And then I happened on to the twigs, and because the twig has a natural grain, they hold up better.
Okay. Because the grain is going out towards,
Yeah.
towards the bill.
I dropped all of these when I was putting this together, and there was one decoy with one of the heads that I had cut out, and that one snapped off. Nothing happened to the twig decoys.
Okay.
Now, Tom forced me into doing boats also. Now, Tom, I'm going to expect to see your first boat at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll bring yours.
Patterns.
Did everybody get one of these?
I did not, no. All right, continue.
Okay. This is the second time I've done this, and
Mess it. Delightful, but
I put this together so you'd have some sort of a pattern and an idea on it. When I was working on these up at Glenwood, when I had a house up there, my neighbor came over and he looked at it and he says, "Yeah, we used to make boats like that." He said they took a 1 by 12 or a 2 by 12, and they soaked it, and they had posts set in the ground to help bend it. You don't really need to do that with these little slats of basswood, but it helps to wet them. And I think, now remember I haven't done this for probably 10, 12 years. And this is kind of the way I start them. This is the stem block. And I glue the side pieces to that stem block. And the bigger you make the stem block, the better they're going to hold. And then when you're all done, see that it's kind of a rough eye. The ends there, well, pass that around. The ends aren't quite flush. So what you do is cut a false stem, same angle, and it's just a little diamond-shaped piece of wood that you put in there. And then you bend it. And I made some jigs with pegs or nails and just set it up on that and bent it and glued it. Those come in handy. Miniature
Clothespins?
clothespins, and you can get miniature clamps. Dave, here you go.
Now, where do you get those at?
Pardon?
Where do you get those miniature clothespins?
Oh, in a craft shop.
Hobby Lobby does?
Hobby Lobby's got 'em.
Yeah. Anyway, then I put in some cross braces. I don't know what they're called anymore, but I put those in, and then gives you a surface to glue on. And I got some, I think you can get 1/32 inch plywood I got it at Scale Model Supplies on Lexington, just off University, and I think you can probably get it at Michael's and at Crafts Direct.
Tom, isn't there a model airplane shop along 494 there? Because it's in between Highway 6 and County Road 9 somewhere, either in the business offices or close to you.
Yeah.
And you just set that down on your plywood, trace around it, and cut it out. If you use the 1/32, I think you can cut it out with a sharp scissors and glue it and clamp it together, or tape also works. Masking tape will hold things together. And a lot of it is kind of flying by the seat of your pants. It's not an exact science. And so you got it glued up, and then you can put in some seats. Just put a strip on each side as a brace to hold it. Cut the seats to fit, and before you put them in there though, paint it. You've got the bottom in, paint it. Then you've got a P-roll. And here's another P-roll. That P-roll you can use as the basis for any kind of duck boat. You know, everybody who has hunted from a wooden duck boat, they all have the flat sides and all sorts of different configurations for a cockpit. Some of them, it's just a little triangular strip in the front of the boat, and others it's more elaborate. Now this is a kind of a rowboat that I put together. Now you notice that stem is much bigger. I did that on the bandsaw. Actually, I did the whole thing on the bandsaw, I think. And then glued on, this is a phony lapstrake boat. Lapstrake boat is a strip boat with the strips overlapping. if the strips butt up against each other, it's a clinker built. So that's a phony lap strake. This is my last of these. This is a cockpit duck boat. I make the oars. I made the oars several different ways. Sometimes use a dowel and inserted it to a flat piece. For some, I used little 16th inch strips, or maybe just a little bit bigger, glued them together, so I've got what looks like a laminated paddle, and I just let those be natural. Varnished them, and finally this last one. This is one that I started for a guy in California. This was going to be a kind of a California style sneak boat. It was going to be a scull boat, so you can see the hole for the sculling oar.
Yeah.
My daughter told me today that she wants to start making these. So I'll probably do the miniatures and she'll do the boats.
How do you drill out your barrels?
Pardon?
How do you drill out your barrels?
Oh,
Very carefully.
the guns I buy.
Okay. Which way was this one going? That way.
Questions?
What do you paint them with? What do you paint the boats with?
For these, I just use a can of camo spray and spray it on. You could do a camouflage pattern on them with a spray the same way you would on a real boat. Other questions? Well, I want to see everybody bring a boat, especially you.
Tom has to paint his own camo.
Yeah.
But it really is fun to do.
Yeah.
That's just another little pile that I gotta make.
When you make these, are you using any optical, like, just your eyesight?
Just my peepers.
Yeah. Impressive.
No measuring.
Swag. Scientific wild ass guess.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah. Very good.
Well, thank you. It was my pleasure, and I hope you enjoy it. This basic, the P-row, is very easy to do. That's not tricky. It's when you try to put together the cockpit that it gets a little bit nasty.
Should ask him if he's got that filled with water.
Put a brass plate on that for you. I'll get the 2 weights.
I love that.
Well, it's easy.
Huh?
It's easy.
I took some pictures of them. I wanna try to make some miniatures.
And the miniatures are,
Yeah.
you know, they're just like a big one, only little.
Right. That's great. Oh, this is gonna be a fun one.
If you're looking at making a full-size poster,
That's what I did when I did.
the guy
We'll see.
You know, you have live with it or.
Yeah,